State of Idaho plaintiff versus Lori Vallow, aka Lori Daybell, defendant. Count 1, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder.
Fast forward to day 24 of the Lori Vallow Daybell trial, being the 8th of May 2023. Former FBI agent, now Chief Deputy of the Canyon County Sheriff's Office, Douglas Hart, was the only witness to take the stand. Hart spent hours reading the text messages sent between Lori Vallow and her husband, Chad Daybell. After the examination, it is clear that Lori and Chad's religious beliefs were at the forefront and that their personal relationship was a driving force behind their crimes. The jury deliberated and a verdict was reached. But first, a perfectly orchestrated plan to take out the children was brought to light. Just a quick recap, Lori Vallow was charged with killing her 2 kids, JJ Vallow, aged 7, and Tylee Ryan, aged 16, who both disappeared at different points in September 2019. She was also charged with conspiring with her husband, Chad Daybell, to murder her children, as well as conspiring in the murder of Chad's first wife, Tammy Daybell. During the course of the Lori Vallow Daybell trial, experts revealed the autopsy reports for Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow for the first time. Garth Warren with the ADA County Coroner's Office reviewed the graphic details about how Tylee and JJ died. Warren revealed that JJ was suffocated to death considering that a plastic bag was found over his head. When describing how Tylee died, Warren confirmed that it was a homicide but also admitted that it was a homicide by, quote, unspecified means. It was very evident that Tylee was murdered, but pinpointing exactly where or how it happened was a problem because of what her remains looked like. Tylee's remains were then cleaned and sent to the FBI, where Angie Christensen, a forensic anthropologist, examined them. Christensen said she received more than 100 bone fragments of Tylee Ryan. Christensen confirmed that Tylee was in fact dismembered. There was trauma on her bones, specifically on the pubic and pelvic regions. Tylee was also burned. It was unclear if this happened before or after she died, but her remains suggest she was burned. Pieces of jawbone with teeth indicated that one side of her face was more exposed to the fire than the other. Forensic biologist Catherine Day subsequently took the stand to reveal the results of her examination on the hand tools that were found on Chad Daybell's property. After examining several shovels, handsaws, a pair of shears, a pothole digger, and a pickaxe for any sign of blood or possible human remains, she found presumptive bloodstains and what could be charred flesh on them. Day specifically confirmed that Tylee's DNA was found on the pickaxe. With regards to Tammy Daybell, her sister, Samantha William, testified in court that, to the best of her knowledge, Tammy was healthy before she died. Samantha also testified that although her sister never told her anything about a possible affair by Chad, she did notice the sudden change in her sister's marriage. Now, several texts were discovered on Lori Vallow's iCloud account, and they reveal very damning evidence against them. Douglas Hart reveals that on the 7th of August 2019, 2 MMS messages that were sent to Lori are the first texts that are notably significant to the investigation. Each one is a photograph of Chad Daybell standing next to a portrait of Jesus Christ. The other is a photograph of Alex Cox standing next to the same portrait. According to Hart, the text attached to Chad Daybell's MMS photograph is significant because it's tagged 2 exalted beings. This text not only puts Chad Daybell and Alex Cox together in the same place, but it also paints the picture of the religious factor at play in the crime, with reference to both believing they are exalted beings.
Line 76, photograph of Alex Cox, 2 exalted beings.
And why did you include these in your summary for the jury?
For 2 reasons. One, to show Chad Daybell and Alex Cox together on August 7th of 2019. And in terms of the religious concepts that were at play in this investigation, the reference to Alex Cox being an exalted being.
And that reference to Alex Cox being an exalted being was sent by Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow.
Correct.
On that same day, additional texts of significance were sent. These texts were brought up because they indicated that Lori Vallow and her niece, Melanie Pawalski-Bordeaux, believed the children were demons. In these texts to Chad, Lori highlighted the behaviors that she considers to be demonic.
Can you read into the record the text communication on page 45?
Yes, line 1399 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. I love you. Taking Braxy home now. I'll check on her. Line 1394 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. She is asleep. She put a bunch of holes in the walls and doors. Definitely had demons helping her, probably 1,000.
When asked about the significance of this text in context with his review of the iCloud and the evidence, Hart explained that it shows that the children were designated as being demons or being possessed by dark entities, which is relevant considering what happened to Tylee and JJ. According to Hart, Lori Vallow was willing to see her children gone. She had told Chad to ask the Lord to take them.
Line 1391 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. We are both so tired of taking care of demons. We are weary. Please ask the Lord to take them.
Now that intent had been determined, Hart took it further by diving into the next line of communication. He brought up this particular string of texts because it chronicled a fight between Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell. Lori Vallow had taken a trip to see Chad in Rexburg, Idaho. Hart broke down the conversation leading up to the trip and also the issues that arose during the trip. The first thing he pointed out was that Lori and Chad had some sort of fight which ultimately put a dent in some kind of plan that they were preparing for.
Line 1369, text from Lori Vallow to Melanie Boudreau. We just had a big fight, probably no go on next week.
These particular text exchanges affirm the relationship between Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow at the time. Hart also noted that this was the first instance of a fight between the Doomsday couple that he observed in the iCloud. It is also evident that Melanie is very much involved in whatever is going on with the couple, as she often sent messages of encouragement to Lori Vallow. The phrase, "for the Lord to execute all things expeditiously," shows that Melanie was aware of their Lord's plan for them prior to the said text communication. The conversation continued and showed some kind of resolution between Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell.
Line 1300 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. Grandpa Keith is here. I am supposed to warn you that you are unprotected. The angels are angry that you are ignoring me. I told him to go back, but he says he isn't allowed to. I'm honestly not trying to manipulate you to respond. I understand that you need your space, but they say you have cut me off, and the protection I built around your house is gone. I love you and don't want you getting attacked. They said that if you at least give me a thumbs up emoji, it will restore our connection enough to give some protection. Line 1299 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. I love you. Line 1298 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. Thank you, my love. I will get things restored.
Hart went on to add that he included that particular text in his summary review because he believes it affirms that a fight had taken place when Lori Vallow got to Rexburg. He also notes that it paints a picture of how manipulative Chad could be with his use of religious concepts. Lori must have been ignoring him for some time until he resorted to telling her she was unsafe and must restore a connection with him. From 11:30 in the morning till around 10:02 at night, Lori had ignored a string of messages from Chad. Hart then noted the significance of Grandpa Keith in the last text from Chad Daybell. He explained that Grandpa Keith was a deceased relative that Chad claimed to be communicating with, an attempt to manipulate Lori, which ultimately worked, as she finally responded to him. When asked what significance this line of communication had in terms of his summary, Hart responded that it set the tone for the significant string of texts that would follow. At this point, Hart moves on to an occasion where Chad Daybell is designating someone as a dark spirit. This incident would also be significant in more ways than one. It was made clear the kind of dynamic that the Doomsday couple had. Chad was the man calling the shots and Lori would go along with it. This is how it must have been for both of them, only that this time there was some sort of pushback. Lori Vallow did not just disagree with Chad Daybell's designation and went on to make her own, to which he subsequently agreed.
Line 1222 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. Nope, I get 5.1 light, part of our team. Line 1221 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. We'll go with your answer. Line 1220 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. Why? What's wrong with your picker? Line 1219 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. What about Mike Stroud? Seriously. Line 1218 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. He's done a great infiltration job.
At this point, you can already see the crime coming together. But then things get even more defined when Hart turns to a new set of communications from the 10th of August 2019, a few weeks before Tylee was last seen. Before he began, Hart explained that he brought up this particular lengthy string of texts because it is critically important with regard to providing clarity on what happened to Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow. Lori was concerned about JJ and was talking to Chad about it. At that time, Chad insisted that JJ was still himself, which possibly meant that JJ was not a threat to Chad at the time. But as the text continued, it became clear that Chad would tilt his stand and claim that JJ was somewhere in the middle of light and dark.
Line 1170 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. Yes, he's at 0. He probably was partly through the veil, talking to people both light and dark. Line 1169 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. Maybe he was talking to the real Blake. Line 1167 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. Yes, that was the real Blake.
Now this is where things got even more defined. Up until this point, the conversations were hypothetical until Lori Vallow specifically asked Chad Daybell if there was a perfectly orchestrated plan to take out her children.
Line 1165 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. Do you think there is a perfectly orchestrated plan to take the children? And we just have to wait for it to be carried out. Line 1164 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. I feel lost, like I should be doing something to help. Line 1161 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. There is a plan being orchestrated for the children. I was shown last night how it fit together, but it has been taken from my mind, of course.
From this exchange, it is clear that Chad Daybell had plans for the children, and Lori Vallow was more than willing to go along with them. Lori had specifically asked Chad what her place was in all of this. In her own words, "What should I be doing?" To which Chad replied, "You are doing everything right, my love." These strings of texts prove how impatient Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell were getting. They had plans and could not wait to see them through. Lori was on the edge, and Chad was providing emotional support. Again, with the use of religious concepts, Chad told Lori that the Lord told him that she was right on track. All she needed to focus on was to resolve the telestial issue, so she could be unencumbered and fully free. It is terrifying to think what Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell classified as telestial issues. These individuals see themselves as higher beings and their children as demons. But then the string of texts that followed also pointed to another source of motivation. In Lori's words, "As long as it ends with you, it's all good."
Line 1125 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. You are so incredible. In many ways, your mission has barely begun. Line 1124 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. As long as it ends with you, it's all good. Line 1123 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. Yes, cheek to cheek, loin to loin. It isn't very far away, my love. Line 1120 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. I wish I could see with you and be cheek to cheek.
From that point, Hart fast-forwarded to some texts between Lori Vallow and Sydney Woodbury that began on the 18th of September 2019. Hart indicated that he was bringing up this string of texts for two reasons. He explained that the texts show efforts were made by Lori to hire a caregiver for JJ in mid-September, and also how they coincide with the timing of the last known video that exists of JJ Vallow.
So this is chat number 6 from Sydney Woodbury to Lori Vallow on September 18th, 2019. Hi Lori, this is Sydney Woodbury from care.com. I just received your message and think your little boy sounds so sweet. I actually have worked with kids in the past with autism at a behavior science company and used positive behavior therapy to help them. I love playing with kids and doing fun things. What are the hours you are thinking of, as well as hourly rate? I am currently attending school, so I hope I can help out with the hours you're needing. Response from Lori Vallow to Sydney Woodbury. That's so great. I'm thinking $15 an hour. I'm flexible with time. He gets out of school at 2:30 every day, so a few hours a week after school. we could work around your schedule as far as days of the week and then some time on Saturdays.
Hart was asked why he deemed these particular exchanges crucial during his examination process, to which he explained that it ultimately signified that Tylee Ryan was no longer in the picture. Tylee was last seen on the 8th of September 2019, so at some point from that day to the 18th, when Sydney was contacted, Tylee had been killed. Tylee helped take care of JJ. He was a special needs kid and Lori had always depended on Tylee's help. Hart moved on to examine the last part of the chat, which included the last known video of JJ Vallow, taken on the 22nd of September 2019. He explained that prior to that day, there were lots of videos of JJ, all of which stopped on the 22nd of September. At this point, Hart circled back to the chat between Lori Vallow and Sydney Woodbury. On the 24th of September 2019, Lori Vallow cancelled JJ's caregiving appointment with Sydney, with the story that JJ would not be back from visiting his grandparents for weeks.
Continuation of chat number 6 from Sydney Woodbury to Lori Vallow on September 24th, 2019. Hi Lolo, are we still good for me coming today? From Lori Vallow to Sydney Woodbury. Hi Sydney, I hope the wedding was good. So JJ's grandparents came this weekend and they took him for a few weeks to give me a break, so he won't be back until probably the end of October. I wish I had other work for you to do. You are such a darling girl. I understand if you need to get another job. From Lori Vallow to Sydney Woodbury. Of course. I'm not sure when he'll be back, but I'm going to do some traveling while he's gone. Probably to see my friends in Hawaii, but I'll let you know for sure when we are both back in Rexburg. You are great.
Hart also confirmed that within that weekend, the 21st, 22nd, and even unto the morning of the 23rd, Lori Vallow had visitors, Melanie Gibb and David Warwick. This is a quick reminder that Melanie Gibb was friends with Lori and was initially an unintentional accomplice in withholding the truth about the children's whereabouts. Eventually, she realized that something was actually wrong and that Lori had been lying to her about the kids. That was when she opened up to the police.
Weekend of September 21st, 22nd, and the morning of the 23rd, had Lori had visitors?
Yes.
Okay. Who were those visitors?
Melanie Gibb and David Warwick.
Okay. And did you find any evidence whatsoever that JJ's grandparents had been in Rexburg September 21st, 22nd, or 23rd?
No.
Lori had no need for a caregiver anymore, and JJ's grandparents had not been around to take him. It is evident that by this point, JJ was no longer alive. But of course, Hart was not done, as a new slide of text communications would give insight to Tammy Daybell's death. Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell had been talking very specifically about Tammy Daybell's pending death.
Line 773 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. Hello, sweet angel. Big news about Tammy. Please let me know if you are awake and can talk. I love you.
And what's on 77?
Line 772 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. The short version is that she has been switched. Tammy is in limbo, and a level 3 demonic entity named Viola is in her body. It happened about 10 p.m. and was done by Tammy's sister Sam, who I always knew was 3D, but it turns out she is multiple creation.
The Doomsday couple were once again convinced of another demon residing within their next victim, Tammy Daybell. Notably, Chad saw Samantha, Tammy's sister, as an enemy because she often opposed him. Whatever plans he may have had for Samantha is unclear, but subsequent texts would prove that there was a plan to take out Tammy, or at least the demon within her.
Line 769 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. Not fully sure of the timing for removal, but once her actions verify the differences, I don't want to wait.
In this text, the couple is talking about some sort of removal. Of course, this is open to interpretation, but it lays the groundwork for the incident that followed. Hart is then referred back to Brandon Boudreau and the attempts on his life on the 2nd of October 2019. Brandon is the husband of Lori's niece, Melanie, and from the text read earlier, he was also thought to be a dark entity like Samantha. In light of this, Lori Vallow now faces new charges for the attempted murder of her nephew-in-law, Brandon Bordeaux. Just like Brandon, Tammy survived this first attempt on her life. Hart then weighed in on the value of this particular chat to the investigation. Lori Vallow and her children had moved to Rexburg in the first part of September that year. Based on the later investigation, both children were killed at different points in that same month. Going back to the texts, Lori and Chad spoke about going on a real date, and then 12 hours later, Chad returned with big news about Tammy.
Just so I'm clear, the text from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow is asking her to seek confirmation?
Correct.
Okay. And so Chad is seeking Lori's opinion?
Correct.
And turning to the text on slide 78, who is it who is discussing timing for removal?
That's a text from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow.
Okay. And was there any indication that at this point Lori Vallow protested, said anything in any way in opposition to a timing for removal and not wanting to wait?
No.
Hart then moved on to another set of texts that contained travel information for Lori Vallow. These texts prove that Lori travelled out of state during the first attempt on Tammy's life on the 9th of October 2019. In the texts, Lori and her niece, Melanie Bordeaux, had a conversation about going to Missouri for work.
So the previous texts with Chad about not wanting to wait were on or about October 5th, correct?
October 4th and October 5th.
Okay. And then the first attempt on Tammy's life with the shooter in the driveway was October 9th.
Correct.
Hart then turned to another set of text communication from the early hours on the 19th of October 2019, the same day that Tammy died, and these texts proved to be of significance in the case. Before diving in, Hart explained that he included these particular SMS messages between Lori Vallow and an unknown individual because these were texts that informed her of Tammy Daybell's death.
Line 541, from unknown individual to Lori Vallow. I'm not sure if you heard, but Chad's wife died last night. Line 540, from Lori Vallow to unknown individual. Oh my gosh, I did not hear that. I'm in Hawaii and it's 6 a.m. Line 539, from Lori Vallow to unknown individual. Do you know what happened? Line 538, from unknown individual to Lori Vallow. Yes, she awoke in the night coughing, threw up, collapsed, and passed away.
There were subsequent texts between Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell that spoke to the nature of their relationship now that Tammy was no longer in the picture. These texts, after Tammy's passing, are very telling.
Line 526, from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. Missing you so much. I can feel you in bed with me, though. Can't wait to truly hold you tightly every day and night. Line 525, from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. I'm missing you more. I need you desperately. I can't wait.
So this text communication happens around just after midnight on the 20th through around 7 in the morning on October 20th, 2019, correct?
Yes.
Less than 24 hours after Tammy Daybell dies.
Roughly 24 hours, yes.
Less than 24 hours after his wife passed, Chad Daybell was already making plans to meet up with Lori Vallow. Subsequent texts revealed the specifics of their plans. Lori Vallow, being just as impatient as Chad, was asked if she could come to him, to which Chad suggested that Lori should look for a condo that they could both return to. Chad was making plans to work out, tighten his abs, grow his hair out, and get a full-body tan. He was now unencumbered and fully free, just like Lori Vallow. These were Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell's words on the 20th of October 2019, a day after Tammy Daybell died.
Line 518, from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. I want to get going full steam on the Lily workout plan. Tighten the abs, get a full body tan, grow my hair out. This could be really good for both of us. Line 517, from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. I love that plan. It's not soon enough though. This is torture. Maybe you need to clear my mind so I can't remember how much I love you. Line 515, from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. That's true. I do feel you. I feel lovesick. I can't sleep. I don't want to eat. I just want you. It's so consuming. Line 514, from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. I know exactly how you feel. I'm feeling sad, but it isn't for the reason everyone thinks.
Since the trial of Lori Vallow Daybell began, so much has come to light. Would there be justice for Tylee Ryan, JJ Vallow, and Tammy Daybell?